Welcome to this short video. Our aim with this is to help you to understand how important the behavioural and emotional side of coaching is, the huge impact it can have on your effectiveness as a deliverer and the experience that your participants have. So what is emotional intelligence in simple terms? The ability to understand and control your emotions and the emotions of those around you and manage your relationships accordingly. So why is emotional intelligence so important? Because emotions drive thoughts, thoughts drive behaviour, and behaviour drives performance in your role and in the outcomes you are trying to achieve for your participants. What goes on under the surface has a huge impact on what you see. So what emotions are we talking about? And how can we go about getting better in this area? Let's have a look at this scenario. You run a badminton class for over 60s at your local community hall. A lot of the group had been inactive for a long time, and you love the fact that you've got a good bunch of 16 or so regulars who are now thriving on the activity. Men and women, and included in the group are some real stars who galvanise everyone. One of these stars, a 72-year-old lady called Deirdre, has seemingly started to lose interest. From turning up early each week and bringing with her in her car 3 of the other participants, Deirdre has stopped giving lifts to her friends, has turned up to some sessions late, and even missed some of the sessions. As well as Deirdre missing out, this is beginning to have an impact on the group, and in particular the 3 friends who she used to give a lift to, as they struggle to find alternative means to get to the hall. There are many issues that could be relevant both for you as the deliverer, Deirdre as the participant, and for the wider group. Areas such as self-esteem, emotion perception, and happiness could be key. Videos 1 and 2 in this series have more detail on these areas. For the purposes of this video 3, we're going to focus on one key facet of emotional intelligence: empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and see the situation from their perspective. What we're talking about here is the ability of you, as a deliverer, to understand what is going on with Deirdre to have resulted in this change of behaviour. In fact, what's happening is this. Deirdre's husband has been getting more and more forgetful, and Deirdre is worried that he's in the early stages of dementia. He won't go and see a doctor to get a diagnosis, and Deirdre is increasingly fearful of leaving him at home on his own. So what can you, as a deliverer, do? How much empathy should you show, and how can you get to the bottom of the situation? The first thing to note is that there's no set answer to how empathetic you should be. Each situation will have different requirements. For example, a nurse who works in palliative care might want to display less empathy than a nurse on an A&E ward. Why? Because she cannot put herself in her patient's shoes. They're dying. And because it won't be helpful for the families if she gets too emotionally involved and is unable to remain focused and objective in her care. In this situation, finding out what's going on behind the scenes with Deirdre will definitely be a good outcome. So you want to be exhibiting enough empathy to be concerned enough to want to do so. But how might you go about this, particularly if you feel that empathy isn't something that comes naturally to you? Well, the best thing to do is to ask questions. When Deirdre does make your sessions, ask her how she is. Depending on how she answers, you might want to probe a bit more. Also consider asking others in the group, particularly those closest to her. Do they know what's going on and what's been causing Deirdre's change in approach? How involved should you get? Remember what your role and aims are for the sessions that you run, and use that as a guide to inform the extent to which you might look to help Deirdre. And follow best practice in terms of reflection. Ask yourself, what did you do well and what could you have done better? So, to recap, think about what's going on below the surface. Remember that emotions drive thoughts, thoughts drive behaviour, and behaviour drives performance in your role and in the outcomes you're trying to achieve for your participants. When you consider the emotions side of things, remember to think about you, others as individuals, and the group as a whole. How you react to and deal with things will have a huge impact on the success of the session. In this kind of situation, asking questions is the best solution to elicit relevant information, not just of the individual, but of others who are close. And remind yourself of your role and aims for the sessions to help guide you as to how involved you should get. After each session, ask yourself, what did I do well and what could I have done better? And ideally, write this down.